Good afternoon, all the participants in Asia, and good morning to the audience in Africa, Arab, Europe, and other regions. We are pleased to meet you at this meeting. Now, we would like to start the fourth Spatial Planning Platform Meeting. 日本から参加の皆様、大変お待たせいたしました。SPP 事務局、国土交通省、国土政策局小野寺でございます。ただいまから第4回 SPP オンライン会合を始めさせていただきます。最初に事務的な連絡ですが、スクリーンの通訳ボタンを押すことにより、英語、日本語を聞くことができます。質問のある方は、チャットボックスでお知らせください。なお、メインセッションの各テーマに関する質問については、クロージングセッション終了後の交流サロンで対応させていただきます。セッションに参加される皆様につきましては、プレゼンテーションとディスカッションの際、マイクをオンにしていただき、それ以外はミュートにしていただきますようお願いいたします。画面は本日のタイムテーブルです。それでは開会にあたり、日本国政府及び国連ハビタットからご挨拶いただきたいと思います。まずは国土交通省国土政策局長青柳一郎からご挨拶申し上げます。
ただいまご紹介いただきました国土交通省国土政策局長の青柳一郎と申します。第4回国土地域計画策定推進支援プラットフォーム会議の開催にあたり、日本政府を代表し、一言皆様にご挨拶申し上げます。まずは、マイムナー・モハメド・シャリフ国連ハビタット事務局長におかれましては、国際的リーダーとして世界に影響力を及ぼし、ハビタット事業の推進を力強く牽引するとともに、我が国と密接かつ良好な関係を築いていただいておりますこと、この場を借りまして、改めて御礼申し上げます。また、事務局長として再任され、本年1月より新たな任期が始まったことについてもお祝い申し上げます。加えて、本日お集まりいただきました各国政府関係機関の皆様、国際機関、各国地域の国連ハビタット事務所、我が国民間セクターの皆様の参加を心より歓迎し、感謝申し上げる次第です。SPP は国土地域計画の策定推進に関し、多様な主体間で経験や知見を共有するための国際的なプラットフォームとして、2018年に国連ハビタットと共同で設立されました。設立以来、毎年1回、急速な経済成長に伴う無秩序な国土の開発や都市の拡大等の課題に対応するため、参加国の知見や経験を共有し、SDGs やニューアーバンアジェンダの達成に向けた学び合いを行ってきました。昨年の第3回会合は、新型コロナウイルスの世界的な流行により、リモートによる会議といたしましたが、今年も変異株オミクロンの世界的流行に鑑み、引き続きウェブで開催することといたしました。さて、発展途上国や発展著しい新興国の多くは、急速な都市化、人口増加に伴う都市の過密によるさまざまな課題に直面してきており、先進国においても都市部への人口集中が加速し、都市に居住する人口が急速に増加してきています。そして、いずれの国々においてもデジタル化の恩恵を取り込むとともに、新型コロナウイルスに対応していくことが求められています。我が国でも2050年を見据えた今後の国土づくりを検討しています。新型コロナウイルス感染症の拡大、デジタル革命の急速な進展、注意推計を大幅に下回る出生数、自然災害の激甚化、頻発化、さらには2050年カーボンニュートラルの宣言といった課題を踏まえて、現在新たな国土形成計画の策定に取り掛かっており、今年の夏頃中間取りまとめを行い、来年の夏頃に計画策定を終えることを目指しています。デジタルとリアルを融合し、地域に実装することで、人口減少下であっても、 安心して暮らし続けられる多彩な地域国土の構築を目指すとともに、新型コロナウイルスの蔓延により顕在化した諸課題を解決していきたいと考えています。本日の会議には、各国政府、国連ハビタット地域オフィス、国際機関、民間企業から素晴らしいパネリストの方々をお招きしております。コロナがもたらした影響や国土・地域計画に関する課題は、各国、各地域で異なるところではありますが、お互いの知見や経験を共有し、各セッションにおいて有意義で活発な議論がなされることを期待しております。引き続き、国土計画の策定支援について、皆様との協力関係を深めるとともに、各国の自律的な発展に貢献してまいりたいと考えております。最後に、本会合が実り多いものになることを祈念しております。本日ご出席の皆様方に、改めて感謝申し上げまして、私の挨拶とさせていただきます。ありがとうございました。
続きまして、国連ハビタット事務局長、マイムナ・モハメド・シャリフ様からご挨拶いただきたいと思います。
Colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth Spatial Planning Platform meeting. I thank the Japan's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism for your continued partnership with UN Habitat, including your support to the Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific in Fukuoka, which commemorates the 25th anniversary this year. Also, I commend your leadership in organizing the SPP platform meetings since 2018. I also thank all member state governments and cities for the great efforts that you have been making in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals and the new urban agenda, among other global agendas. As you know, 2022 marks Quito +5. That is, 5 years have passed since the adoption of the new urban agenda at the Habitat 3, the United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development in Quito, Ecuador, in October 2016. The new urban agenda represents a shared vision for a better and more sustainable future. Now, urbanization is widely recognized as one of the 5 megatrends influencing economic, social, and environmental dimensions of sustainable development, along with climate change, demographic shifts, especially aging, digital technologies, and inequalities. Indeed, urbanization provides an opportunity and to guide the Sustainable Development Agenda forward. However, as you know, if unplanned and poorly managed urbanization will exacerbate many of the problems that it claims to solve. The new urban agenda encourages member states to carry out a periodic follow-up to and review in order to track progress, assess the impact, and ensure the agenda's effective and timely implementation. Hence, the UN General Assembly mandated the Secretary General to report on the progress of the implementation of the new urban agenda every 4 years. The first quadrennial report was submitted in 2018, and we are now preparing the second quadrennial report that is forthcoming. In addition, we are now assisting the President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Abdullah Shahid, in preparing for the high-level meeting of the General Assembly on the implementation of the new urban agenda that will be held on 28 April 2022 in New York. In this regard, I have been informed that ESCAP and UN Habitat are now jointly organizing a meeting as part of the Asia-Pacific Forum for Sustainable Development in March in the run-up to the high-level meeting. Moreover, The UN system, including UN Habitat, is now working on our common agenda that the Secretary General presented in September 2021 at the request of the member states. The agenda contains 68 proposals, and UN Habitat has explicitly been identified to co-lead or collaborate on number 10, Global Fund for Social Protection, and 61, Advisory Group on Local and Regional Governments. Moving forward, UN Habitat is collaborating with the government of Poland to organize the 11th session of World Urban Forum WUF 11, which will be held from 26 to 30th June 2022 in the Polish city of Katowice under the theme Transforming Our Cities for a Better Urban Future. WUF 11 will provide greater insights and clarity on the future of cities, as well as suggest ways cities can be better prepared to address future pandemics and a wide range of other shocks. So, I really encourage you all to get involved in a series of events and activities planned for 2022 to advance our common agendas. UN Habitat's headquarters, regional and country officers stands ready to provide you whatever assistance needed. I wish you a very successful meeting and a healthy, happy, and prosperous year 2022. Thank you.
シャリフ様、ありがとうございました。続きまして、国連ハビタットアジア太平洋地域本部本部長、是澤敦様から基調講演をいただきたいと思います。是澤様、よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, moderator, and good day to dear participants, friends, and colleagues. Let me share my screen for the presentation. Okay, let me start the slideshow from beginning. All right. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Atsushi Koresawa, serving as UN Habitat Regional Representative for Asia and Pacific. And I'm very delighted to talk to you today. As our ED just stressed, this year is quite important for all of us. The Secretary General's quadrennial report on the implementation of new urban agenda will be soon launched, which is based on, among others, your national reports. It will be tabled at high-level meeting of the General Assembly on the implementation of new urban agenda in late April. And for that, we are now discussing Asia Pacific report with member states and partners. So I'm going to cover 3 topics today in my brief presentation. First, development pathways for sustainable urban future. And second, localization of SDGs and voluntary local reviews. And sustainable, inclusive, and resilient recovery from COVID-19 pandemic. Now, let me start. You may recall development pathways for sustainable urban future were presented by a UN Habitat and UN SCAP joint flagship report titled The Future of Asian Pacific Cities 2019, Transformative Pathways Towards Sustainable Urban Development. The report was launched at the 7th Asia Pacific Urban Forum in Penang, Malaysia in October 2019. The report put forward 4 priority areas and 15 pathways. So the first priority area, urban territorial planning, has 3 pathways. First, integrate sustainability and quality of life targets. Second, co-produce with citizens urban planning solutions. 3, optimize urban, rural, and city region collaborations. And under the second priority area, smart and inclusive cities, there are 5 pathways. First, smart city governance. Second, encourage technology firms to become more civic-minded. Third, adopt cybersecurity safeguards. Fourth, develop smart mobility investment plans. Fifth, cross-sector partnership and business matching platforms. Under the urban resilience, there are four. First, nature-based solutions and resilient infrastructure. Second, the informal economy and support urban poor groups to become change agents. Third, partnerships and long-term urban resilience strategies. Fourth, big data and technology literacy. And under urban finance, there are three. First, public-private partnerships. Second, land-linked financing mechanism. And third, congestion charging and environmental user fees. I think all these priority areas and pathways are relevant to our discussion today. And I cannot go into more detail, but if you want to know more about it, please revisit the report. We have been monitoring progress since then, and we reviewed 30 case studies, as you can see on the map, at the second Regional Partners Forum held in October last year. I cannot go one by one, but let me share two case studies presented under the urban territorial planning. The first case is related to the pathway integrating sustainability and quality of life targets into urban planning to future-proof public and private investment in cities. And India presented this case, urban sustainability assessment framework, which prioritize climate adaptation and mitigation at all stages. The second case study is related to the pathway co-produce with citizens urban planning solutions that align technological investment with adequate local government capacities. And the case is managing the transition from industrial to an environmental focused city in Liuzhou, China, which focus on integrated strategies for transformation that include ecological restoration of the Liujiang River, and investment in green infrastructure, improvement of mobility and accessibility with affordable public transport, optimization of 15-minute community life cycle in spatial planning, and regeneration of old city district. It's great, great case. At the forum, SCAP colleague reported that despite strong example of progress, there are a number of capacity gaps, referring to unintegrated approach, ability to scale up, and nature-based solutions, knowledge about nature-based solutions, and digital inclusion, and bankable project and private sector investment, among many others. This reminded that many good practices are already emerging, but in many cases, they remain isolated cases, and policy frameworks and enabling environment have yet to emerge. Moreover, let me share my recent experience. In January this year, when I attended the ASEAN regional workshop named Study on Urbanization, People's Mobility and Inclusive Development Across Urban Rural Continent in ASEAN, a question was raised by a senior member state representative. She asked, are those issues we are discussing today attracting enough political attention in your country? I responded by saying, unless it is a high priority on the political agenda, it won't receive necessary political support. Hence, whole of government approach may not emerge. And I explained my experience in Japan, Korea, and China, where inter-regional disparities were high on the political agenda, especially during rapid economic growth. Thus, governments have taken drastic but consistent actions with solid policy frameworks and a planning system. Now, I'd like to bring your attention to two potential opportunities we should explore and discuss. The first case is related to the so-called localization of SDGs and voluntary local reviews. Perhaps you already know voluntary local reviews, or VLRs for short, are growing at an encouraging pace, from 37 VLRs in May 2020 to 106 in October 2021. VLRs, of course, complement voluntary national reviews, VNRs, but more importantly, it is a powerful accelerator of localizing the SDGs. Hence, implementation of SDGs at different territorial levels. More specifically, VLR has multiple benefits. A, allows the local government to listen to the needs of its people and reflect them into local policy making. And B, invites self-reflection by diagnosing the state and pointing to pathways for better localization of SDGs. C, provides for a process that is data-driven and can be used to plan for action to achieve the future we want. And D, gives a local take on global conversation on sustainable development. And UN Habitat is providing direct technical support for subnational governments and cities to develop their VLRs, as well as leading the development of guidance on VLRs and providing opportunities for peer-to-peer learning, capacity building, and also international engagement. My suggestion here today is to consider integrating more SDGs in planning framework and vice versa, integrating spatial dimension in VLRs and VNRs and VLRs processes. There must be complementarities and mutual reinforcing factors. Perhaps next item, COVID-19 is a typical example that more spatial considerations are needed. COVID-19. As immediate response, UN Habitat provided emergency support, especially people in informal settlements, marginalized communities, urban poor, and those exposed to everyday danger, such as garbage collection. We provided them hand washing facilities, protection tools, and supporting hygiene awareness raising and education, food distribution, and even small farming. Now we know that absolute number of people living in extreme poverty has risen for the first time since 1997, pushing hundreds of millions of people back into poverty. They concentrate in informal settlements, densely populated areas, and crowded space, and so on. Remember, no one is safe until everybody is safe. So UN Habitat launched a flagship report named Cities and Pandemics Towards a More Just, Green, and Healthy Future last year. It analyzed key trends and good practices and made recommendations among those 4 pillars, as you can see on the screen. Number 1, rethinking the forms and functions of the city, so-called morphologies. Number 2, addressing systematic poverty and inequality in cities. Number 3, rebuilding a new normal urban economy. Number 4, clarifying urban legislation and governance. The report shares quite a very rich knowledge pool, so really recommended for your reading. In addition, UN Habitat has made available various reports, policy and technical guidance, and even supported General Assembly resolution titled Inclusive Social Development Policies and programs to address homelessness, including in the aftermath of the coronavirus disease 2019. This is a landmark resolution, so deserve your attention. Okay, to summarize, the pandemic deepened existing inequalities and created new vulnerabilities. It highlighted the critical role of local governments as frontline responders in crisis response and recovery, and underlines the role of public space in public health and in response. It inspired new policies that promote a green recovery that conditions investment for sustainable urban future. And it raised, probably most importantly, it raised the profile of national urban policies to mobilize support for resilient, green, and inclusive cities, often as part of national recovery packages. So let me wrap up. Deputy Secretary General of United Nations, Amina Mohammed, once stated, like any disruptive force, COVID-19 present us with the opportunity to reimagine a better future through our response, a fairer and more equal world. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development remains the best framework for doing just that. And we observe countries are already applying national urban policies to address regional inequalities and other structural issues. So we should explore how to leverage local development opportunities and guide resilient and green inclusive recovery through integrated spatial planning. Let me add one. We have just heard that Japan MLIT is developing a new national spatial plan in the context of post-pandemic. I hope it will well integrate the SDGs and new urban agenda in it, and also be cascaded down to subnational and local levels as well, and hopefully replicated elsewhere. So I finished my presentation by reminding you two upcoming events. One, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are preparing for the Asia Pacific Forum for Sustainable Development and at the end of March, and pre-event on 16 March. Please join us. Number two, also please check 11th Urban Forum site. Registration is now open and your proposal, application, and participation are most welcome. Thank you all. And have a great discussion. So over to the moderator. Thank you so much.